Water consumption is a hot topic in this part of the world. Nowadays, a number of private firms are investing in setting up facilities and research and development to better manage the region's water resources. One of them is Epic Green Solutions. It has offices in the Emirates and it is headed by Bart Rabine. Bart, first of all, how severe is the problem of water scarcity in the Gulf and the rest of the Middle East?
Well, it is actually a very serious problem. As you've probably seen, many people see articles every day in the paper talking about this. And the Middle East is actually one of the most water scarce parts of the entire world. 5% of the population lives in the Middle East, but we only have 1% of the available water resources. And a lot of people don't realize that while there's a lot of water in the world, 97% of that water is actually seawater. We can't use it. Of the other 3%, 2/3 of that is tied up in glaciers and ice caps, which means that we end up with only 1% of all the water in the world that's fresh water available, and the Middle East only has 1% of that. And to kind of put it into numbers, in 1955 there were 3 countries in the Middle East that were considered water scarce. By 1990, 11 countries in the Middle East were in that. And by 2025, 18 countries in the Middle East will be in that water scarce list. So it is a very significant problem and something that we have to do something about. Some environmental experts say that oil isn't the big problem in the world today in terms of resources, it's water.
What's being done about this?
Well, there's really sort of 2 ways to tackle the problem. The one way is to desalinate water and use wastewater, reuse wastewater, sort of increase the supply, if you want to call it that. The problem with that is desalination is very expensive. In fact, the Gulf countries are looking at spending over $19 billion in the next 10 years to increase our desalination capacity. The problem is water consumption keeps growing faster than we can desalinate water, so that isn't going to solve the problem. All that's going to do is help keep the problem from getting worse. So what we have to do is look at the demand side of it, and we have to figure out how are we going to actually decrease the amount of water we use per person, because that's the only way, as the population grows, that's the only way we can tackle it. So what we need to do is we need to figure out ways to conserve water and use less water. Now, currently, about 80% of the water in the Middle East is used for irrigation. So if we're going to tackle the amount of water we use, we're going to have to look at irrigation. The problem with that is the countries in the Middle East want to have food security. They want to produce as much food locally as they can and not have to import it. Well, if we cut down on the amount of water available for irrigation, then we start looking at having to import more food. So what we need to do is figure out a way to irrigate with less water. That is by far and above the biggest opportunity to save water in the Middle East. And that's where our company, Epic Green Solutions, comes in, because we have developed an innovative technique for irrigating that uses 50 to 80% less water. So this is one of those times where we can actually continue to produce the food that they'd like to produce locally, but still save significantly on the amount of water that's being used for irrigation.
Bart, your company is bringing the EPIC system from the US to the Middle East, and you're starting with the Emirates. Could you please explain to us how this system works and how it's different from other ways to increase water supply, such as, for example, desalination?
Well, most typical irrigation systems that people would think of are one of 2 types. They're either the spray head spraying in the air, or they're drip systems, and we see lots of both types here in the Middle East. What makes our system unique, the EPIC system, is that we actually water from underneath. So the plant takes the water in the roots anyway, and so the logical place to deliver water to a plant is through the roots, not to spray it in the air. So what we do is we put a liner under our system, and we sort of create a bathtub. And we have special drainage pipes that distribute the water evenly throughout the entire area that we're putting our system in. And we deliver the water in the bottom of that system, and through capillary rise, the water comes up through the sand until it gets to the point where the roots are in the soil. So what ends up happening is the plant 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, has the amount of water that it desires there and available to the plant. What we don't have with our system is we don't have evaporation, because again, we're not putting water on the surface or spraying it in the air, so there's no loss to evaporation. And the other couple things that make our system unique is that it's basically done through gravity and capillary rise. It's a non-pressurized system, which means that we don't have, sprinkler heads that break and water spraying in the air and broken water lines, all the problems that you have with the pressurized system. So the EPIC system is very unique in that it's a simple system, it conserves water, and it's the most effective way to deliver water to the plant in the roots where the plant needs it.